Jack Miller yawned as he walked through the empty hallways of the Nevada Research Facility. Another boring Tuesday. His coffee was already cold, and he had a stack of reports waiting on his desk. Being an aerospace engineer wasn't as exciting as he had hoped when he was a kid looking up at the stars. The alarm blared without warning. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Jack nearly dropped his coffee. All senior staff to the main conference room. This is not a drill, the voice on the speaker said. Jack ran to the conference room, joining others who looked just as confused. Director Thompson, a tall man with gray hair, stood at the front, his face pale. 10 hours ago, we picked up a signal from deep space, he said, pointing to a screen showing strange patterns. It's not random noise. It's a message. They're coming here. The room went silent. They? Jack asked, breaking the silence. Aliens, Thompson replied. They call themselves the Stellar Commonwealth, and they'll be here in 3 days. For the next 72 hours, nobody at the facility slept. World leaders appeared on TV, trying to calm people down. Some folks panicked, while others celebrated. Jack and his team worked nonstop to prepare the landing area. Why our facility? Jack asked his friend Tom as they set up monitoring equipment. Big empty space, far from cities, and we have those new landing pads for the space program, Tom said, wiping sweat from his forehead. Plus, I guess someone has to meet the aliens first. On the third day, everyone stood outside watching the sky. Jack's heart beat fast. He had never imagined he would see actual aliens. A small dot appeared in the blue sky, growing larger by the second. Soon, a ship unlike anything humans had built hovered above them. It was smooth and curved, with no visible engines, glowing with a soft blue light. It's beautiful, Jack whispered. The ship landed without a sound. For a minute, nothing happened. Then, a door opened, and a ramp extended to the ground. Director Thompson stepped forward with a group of government officials. He turned suddenly and pointed at Jack. You, Miller, get over here. Me? Jack's eyes went wide. Why? They requested a mix of officials and regular staff. You're representing our technical team. Jack's legs felt weak as he joined the greeting party. He straightened his wrinkled shirt, wishing he had worn something nicer than his standard work clothes. The aliens walked down the ramp. Jack held his breath. They looked almost human, but not quite. Taller, with perfect posture. Their skin had a slight shimmer to it, changing color slightly with the light. There were 5 of them, dressed in flowing clothes that seemed to move like water. The one in front spoke perfect English. Greetings from the Stellar Commonwealth. We come in peace and friendship. As the aliens introduced themselves, Jack noticed one of them staring at him. She was female, as far as he could tell, with features that were alien yet beautiful. Her skin had a purple undertone, and her eyes were large and violet. She was tall and moved with grace that seemed impossible. When the introductions reached her, she stepped forward. I am Lyra, science officer of the Commonwealth Exploration Fleet. Her eyes never left Jack as she spoke. When she was introduced to him, she made a strange gesture, touching her chest with her fingertips and then extending her hand. Jack Miller, aerospace engineer, he said, shaking her hand. Her skin was warm and had a slight electric tingle. Lyra smiled, still staring at him with those intense violet eyes. It is very interesting to meet you, Jack Miller, she said. Jack nodded politely, thinking this was just normal alien politeness. He had no idea that this moment would change his life forever. 2 weeks after the aliens arrived, the Nevada Research Facility had changed completely. New buildings went up to house the visitors. Scientists from all over the world came to work with the aliens, and Jack found himself in the middle of it all. You'll be working directly with the Stellar Commonwealth team on technology exchange, Director Thompson told him. They asked for you specifically. Jack was surprised. Why me? I'm not even the most senior engineer. Thompson shrugged. They said they appreciated your clear thinking patterns during the welcome meeting. Don't question good luck, Miller. On his first day with the alien team, Jack entered the new lab and found Lyra waiting for him. She smiled when she saw him. "Jack Miller," she said, making that same hand gesture across her chest. "I am pleased to work with you." Jack noticed her skin change to a lighter purple when she spoke to him. He didn't know what it meant, but he tried to be polite. "I'm happy to work with you too," he said. For the next few days, Jack noticed something odd. No matter which project he worked on, Lyra always seemed to be there. She asked him many personal questions. "What foods do you enjoy? Do you live alone? What activities bring you joy?" She would ask while they examined alien engine designs. One morning, Lyra brought Jack a strange blue fruit. "This is from my homeworld," she said, placing it carefully in his hands. "It is considered special." "Thank you," Jack said, not knowing what else to say. He put the fruit in his lunchbox, planning to ask if it was safe to eat. Later that week, Jack walked into the lab to find Lyra humming a beautiful melody. When she saw him, she stopped and tilted her head, exposing her neck in a strange way. "Good morning," Jack said, confused by her behavior, but not wanting to be rude. In the break room, his friend Tom laughed when Jack mentioned these things. "Dude, she likes you," Tom said. "That alien woman is totally into you." Jack shook his head. "Don't be stupid. She's just being diplomatic. Besides, she's, an alien." "Whatever you say," Tom smirked. "But I see how the other aliens look at you too. They know something you don't." Jack ignored him. But he couldn't ignore when 3 more alien fruits appeared on his desk the next day, or when Lyra started bringing him strange, beautiful objects that she called tools, but looked more like art. During a team meeting, one of the other aliens, Krell, nudged Jack. "Lyra has shown great interest in your personal space," he said. "This is a significant honor." "My personal space?" Jack asked. "Yes, she has observed your dwelling from public records. She finds your choice of living area very suitable." Jack felt a chill. "She's been looking at where I live." Krell seemed confused by Jack's reaction. Of course, this is normal in the evaluation process. Jack didn't know what evaluation process meant, but he didn't ask. That evening, when he left work, he saw Lyra standing in the parking lot. She was wearing a special outfit that seemed to glow in the sunset light. "Jack Miller," she called. "Would you share a meal with me tonight? I wish to learn more about Earth foods." Jack hesitated. It was probably just cultural exchange, he told himself. Nothing weird about having dinner with an alien who kept staring at him, bringing him gifts, and looking up his address. "Sure," he said finally. "There's a good restaurant in town." As they walked to his car, Jack noticed all the other aliens had stopped to watch them. Some were making strange hand gestures, others were nodding with approval. Jack had no idea that in their eyes, he had just accepted the second stage of a very important ritual. 1 month after the aliens arrived, the government planned a big dinner to celebrate the successful start of human-alien relations. The grand hall of the research facility was decorated with both Earth and alien symbols. Important people from all over the world came to the event. Jack wore his only good suit. He felt out of place among world leaders and top scientists. He stood in a corner, sipping his drink, watching the mix of humans and aliens talking together. "There you are," Tom said, joining him. "Did you hear? Lyra has been telling everyone about your special relationship." Jack nearly choked on his drink. "What special relationship? We just work together." Tom laughed. "Sure, buddy. That's why she's been collecting your favorite things and learning all about human pair bonding customs." Before Jack could answer, the room went quiet. Lyra had entered, and she looked different. Her skin glowed with bright colors. She wore what looked like formal alien clothes, with strange patterns that seemed to move on their own. Around her neck was a beautiful chain with a small blue stone. She walked straight to Jack, ignoring everyone else. The other aliens followed, forming a circle around them. "Jack Miller, Lyra said in a clear voice that everyone could hear. The time has come to complete what we have begun. Jack had no idea what she meant. He looked around nervously, but everyone was watching with interest. Lyra took something from a small box. It was a bracelet made of a strange metal that seemed to shift colors like her skin. With great care, she placed it on Jack's wrist. "With this token, I choose you as my life companion," she said. "Our paths are now joined under the laws of the Stellar Commonwealth." The room was completely silent. Then all the aliens made a musical sound together, something like cheering. They surrounded Jack, touching his shoulders and making the hand gesture he had seen before. Jack stood frozen, the bracelet feeling warm on his wrist. He looked at Lyra, who was waiting for him to say something. Her skin had turned a deep, rich purple. A woman in a black suit gently pulled Jack aside. Her name tag read Dr. Ellis, Cultural Liaison. "Mr. Miller," she whispered, "do you understand what just happened?" Jack shook his head. "She just completed the final stage of her species mating ritual," Dr. Ellis explained. "That bracelet is the equivalent of a wedding ring. According to their customs, you're now engaged to be married." Jack's mouth fell open. "What? No, that's impossible. We work together." Dr. Ellis looked serious. "In their culture, females choose their mates through a 3-stage process. The gifts, the shared meal, and now the bracelet. Their records show you accepted the first 2 stages." "I didn't know," Jack said, his voice rising. "I thought she was just being friendly." "In Valan culture, that's her species. Males must clearly reject the first offering if they're not interested. Otherwise, acceptance is assumed." Jack felt the room spinning. He looked back at Lyra, who was waiting patiently. All those strange behaviors suddenly made sense. The gifts, the questions about his home, the neck gesture which was probably some kind of submission or affection. "What am I supposed to do now?" Jack asked. "I can't marry an alien. I barely know her." Dr. Ellis gave him a grave look. "You need to be very careful. This is now a diplomatic situation. Rejecting her publicly would be a serious insult that could damage our new relationship with the Commonwealth." Jack looked at the bracelet on his wrist. It fit perfectly. "How did I not see this coming?" he whispered to himself. Jack couldn't sleep that night. The bracelet on his wrist glowed softly in the dark of his bedroom. He had been too shocked to say anything at the dinner, and Dr. Ellis had advised him to wait until they could arrange a private meeting to discuss the situation. The next morning, Jack was called to Director Thompson's office. Several government officials were there, along with Dr. Ellis and an alien called Miro, who served as the Commonwealth's main speaker. "Miller," Director Thompson said, looking tired, "we need to handle this situation carefully." "I didn't know what was happening," Jack said. "How was I supposed to know she was choosing me?" Dr. Ellis spoke up. The Valan believed they were being very clear. In their culture, courtship is a formal process with specific steps. Miro nodded. Lyra followed all proper protocols. She presented gifts, requested personal information to evaluate compatibility, and observe your living situation. Your acceptance of these advances indicated interest. Jack ran his hands through his hair, but I didn't know what they meant. On Earth, people just ask each other out on dates. We don't have these complicated rituals. "Actually, we do," Dr. Ellis said. "They're just different. Think about it. Flowers, dinner dates, meeting the parents. We have our own steps." Jack looked at the bracelet. "So what happens now? Can I just explain it was a misunderstanding?" The room went quiet. Director Thompson cleared his throat. "That's the problem, Miller. The Valan take this bond very seriously. Breaking it without proper cause could damage our relations with the entire Commonwealth." "What counts as proper cause?" Jack asked. "Incompatibility of life goals, inability to provide mutual support, or discovery of deception," Miro explained. "Not simple miscommunication." Jack felt trapped. "So I'm just supposed to marry her?" An alien I barely know. Dr. Ellis looked at him with sympathy. We need to arrange a meeting between you and Lyra, with cultural interpreters present. You need to understand why she chose you specifically. Later that day, Jack sat in a small conference room. When Lyra entered, her skin was a pale purple. Jack had learned this showed nervousness. You are troubled, she said. The cultural liaison explained there was a misunderstanding. Jack nodded. I didn't know what your actions meant. On Earth, we express interest differently. I see. Lyra sat down across from him. Would you like to know why I chose you? Jack was curious despite everything. Yes, I would. In my culture, we value certain traits above all others, she explained. Adaptability, problem-solving, and resilience. Humans possess these in amounts we find remarkable. All humans have those traits, Jack said. Lyra's skin shifted to a warmer purple. Yes, but you showed them clearly. When we first landed, you were the only one who adjusted quickly to our presence. Others were too formal or too afraid. Dr. Ellis, who was sitting quietly in the corner, spoke up. The Valen evolved on a planet with rapidly changing conditions. Their society values those who can adapt quickly to new situations. We have become perhaps too comfortable with technology and stability. Lyra added, my people believe humans have qualities we have lost. That is why the Commonwealth sought contact with Earth. Jack started to understand. So this isn't just about you and me. It's about our species learning from each other. Yes, Lyra said, but bonds must begin between individuals. I did not intend to cause distress. If you wish to break the bond, I will accept your decision. Her skin turned the palest purple Jack had ever seen. He realized she was deeply sad at the thought of rejection. Despite everything, he felt bad for her. I don't know what to do, Jack said honestly. This is all happening so fast. Perhaps, Dr. Ellis suggested, instead of making a decision now, you could learn more about each other's expectations and cultures first. Jack looked at the bracelet, then at Lyra. He was angry about the misunderstanding, but he could see she had good intentions. I think that's a good idea, he said finally. Over the next few weeks, Jack spent most of his time with Lyra. The research facility set up special cultural exchange sessions for them. Dr. Ellis and Mero were always nearby to help explain things when needed. Today, I will show you how Valen families live, Lyra said one morning. She set up a device that projected 3D images in the air. Jack watched as images of an alien world appeared. The buildings were tall and curved, with gardens growing on their walls. Inside, the rooms changed shape based on who was using them. Our homes adapt to our needs, Lyra explained, just as we must adapt to survive. It's beautiful, Jack said, honestly impressed. Everything seems so alive. Lyra's skin turned a happy shade of bright purple. Yes, that is exactly right. On my world, we try to blend technology with nature. Each day, Jack learned something new about Valen culture. Their food was strange but delicious. Their music used sounds humans couldn't even hear, and their view of relationships was very different from Earth's. We do not choose mates based on physical attraction alone, Lyra told him. We look for complementary strengths. A good partnership makes both people better. On Earth, we often talk about love, Jack said. Do the Valen fall in love? Lyra thought for a moment. We have a similar concept, but it develops differently. We believe strong bonds grow from respect and shared purpose. The feeling you call love often comes after the bond is formed, not before. As strange as it seemed, Jack started to see the logic in their approach. Human relationships often fail because people chose partners for the wrong reasons. One evening, Jack's boss called him into a meeting with government officials. The president wants an update on your situation, Director Thompson said. The whole world is watching this first potential human-alien relationship. Jack sighed. No pressure or anything, right? We need this to work, Miller, a stern government woman said. The Commonwealth has technologies that could solve many of Earth's problems. Your personal situation has become diplomatically significant. Jack was getting tired of hearing that. So I'm supposed to marry her for Earth's benefit. No one is saying that, Thompson said quickly. But we hope you're giving this a fair chance. When Jack left the meeting, he found Lyra waiting for him. She wore Earth clothes now, jeans, and a simple shirt. She was trying to adapt to his culture too. You are troubled again, she said, her skin showing concern. Just feeling the pressure, Jack admitted. Everyone has opinions about us. Lyra nodded. On my world too. I am the first to choose a human mate. Some think I am brave. Others think I am foolish. They walked together through the facility gardens. The evening was warm, and the stars were coming out. Why did you really choose me? Jack asked suddenly. Not the official reason. The real one. Lyra was quiet for a moment. The first moment I saw you, you looked at our ship with wonder, not fear. You saw beauty where others saw threat. That is rare. Jack remembered that moment, how amazed he had been by the alien ship. Also, she continued, her skin shifting to a deep, warm purple. You have kind eyes. Jack felt something unexpected, a flutter in his chest. Despite all the differences, despite the bizarre situation, he was starting to care about Lyra. I still don't know if this can work, he said honestly, but I'm glad I'm getting to know you. Lyra made the hand gesture across her chest that Jack now knew meant respect and affection. That is enough for now, she said, smiling in her alien way. 2 months after the aliens arrived on Earth, Jack was no longer just an engineer. He had become an important link between humans and the stellar Commonwealth. His unusual relationship with Lyra had made him famous. News reporters tried to talk to him whenever he left the facility. Is it true you're going to live on an alien planet? They would ask. Are you really getting married to the alien woman? Jack didn't answer these questions. He was still figuring things out himself. One evening, Mero called Jack and Lyra to a meeting. It is time, Mero said, his tone serious. According to Valan tradition, before a bond is made official, the couple must face the proving. The what? Jack asked, looking at Lyra. The proving is a test, Lyra explained. Traditionally, it is a challenge that requires both partners to work together. It shows if a pair is truly compatible. Jack frowned. What kind of test? In the past, it was a survival challenge, Mero said. Now, it is usually a task that tests both partners' skills. Before they could discuss it further, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. Red lights flashed in the hallways. Emergency in Docking Bay 3. A voice announced over the speakers. All personnel evacuate. Mero touched a device on his wrist. His face turned serious. There is a problem with our ship's power core. It's becoming unstable. Is it dangerous? Jack asked. If it fails completely, the energy release could damage much of this facility, Mero said. Lyra stood up. We must go there. I know the power systems. It's being evacuated, Jack reminded her. Yes, she said, looking at him with those strange violet eyes. But I cannot leave my people's technology to cause harm to your world. Jack understood then. This is our proving, isn't it? Lyra nodded. Not planned, but perhaps fate has chosen for us. Despite the evacuation orders, Jack and Lyra ran to Docking Bay 3. The alien ship was humming with a strange, high-pitched sound that hurt Jack's ears. Blue light leaked from seams in its hull. The cooling system has failed, Lyra said, reading from a control panel near the ship. The core is overheating. Can we shut it down? Jack asked. Lyra shook her head. Not from here. We must go inside and do it manually. Inside the ship, the air felt electric. The walls pulsed with blue light. Jack followed Lyra to the engine room, where a sphere of energy floated in a containment field. The field is failing, Lyra said. We need to create a bypass to the secondary cooling system. Jack looked at the alien technology. He didn't understand it, but he understood the problem. It's like overheating in our nuclear plants, he said. We need to redirect the heat. For the next hour, they worked together. Lyra knew the alien systems, but Jack saw solutions she didn't consider. His human approach to problems was different from hers. Try connecting that conduit to the external housing, he suggested. We can use the ship's hull as a heat sink. Lyra's eyes widened. That is not in our protocols, but it could work. They made the connections together, Jack's human hands working alongside Lyra's alien ones. Slowly, the humming sound decreased. The blue light dimmed to a safe level. It's working, Lyra said, her skin glowing with relief and excitement. When they emerged from the ship, exhausted but successful, Marrow and the other aliens were waiting. So were Director Thompson and the human officials. You did it, Director Thompson said. You saved the facility. Marrow looked at them both with respect. You have passed the proving in the most authentic way possible. Different approaches, different strengths, but together, successful. Jack looked at Lyra, standing proud beside him. For the first time, he didn't see her as just an alien. He saw her as a partner. 3 months after the ship emergency, Jack stood looking out the window of the research facility. The Nevada desert stretched out before him, but his mind was far away. Tomorrow would change everything. Tom found him there, staring at the sunset. All packed? Tom asked. Jack nodded. Not taking much. They say I'll get everything I need there. I still can't believe you're really going, Tom said. First human to visit another solar system. And with a wife. Jack smiled. She's not my wife yet. We agreed to call it an extended engagement for now. After the ship crisis, Jack had made his decision. He wouldn't reject Lyra, but he also wasn't ready for marriage by either human or Valan standards. Instead, he proposed a compromise. I want to see your world, he had told Lyra. I want to learn more before we make this permanent. The Stellar Commonwealth had been pleased with his choice. They offered him a position as Earth's first ambassador to their worlds. It was a huge honor and a huge responsibility. The world leaders had been happy too. This was an incredible opportunity for Earth to join the galactic community. Jack's personal story had somehow become humanity's story. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. There you are. Lyra stood in the doorway, her skin glowing a warm purple in the setting sun. She wore a mix of Earth and Valan clothing now, finding her own balance between their cultures. Just saying goodbye to Earth, Jack said. At least for a while. Lyra joined him at the window. Are you afraid? Jack thought about it. Not afraid. Just aware of how big this is. Not just for us, but for everyone. Your species has a remarkable ability to adapt to new situations, Lyra said. It is why we sought you out. It is why I chose you. Jack turned to her. I've been practicing something. Carefully, he made the formal Valan gesture of choosing, touching his heart with 3 fingers, then extending his hand palm up. It was the gesture that males made when they accepted a bond. Lyra's skin flickered with bright colors of surprise and joy. You honor me, she said softly. I'm still learning, Jack admitted, but I want to do this right. We're creating something new here, not just following your traditions or mine. Later that evening, a farewell party was held at the facility. Everyone who had been part of the first contact was there. Jack's parents came too, still trying to understand their son's extraordinary choice. Will you be safe? His mother asked, hugging him tightly. The Commonwealth has been traveling between stars for centuries, Jack reassured her, and I'll be back to visit. Director Thompson gave a speech about new beginnings. Dr. Ellis talked about cultural bridges, but the words that meant the most came from Marrow. When our ships first detected your world, the alien said, we hoped to find new trading partners. Instead, we found new family. The next morning, Jack stood at the foot of the Commonwealth ship. His few bags were already inside. News cameras recorded everything. This was a historic moment. Lyra waited for him at the top of the ramp, a silhouette against the bright interior of the alien vessel. Jack took a deep breath, and walked up to join her. At the top, he turned to look back at Earth one more time. "Ready?" Lyra asked. Jack thought about everything that had happened since that first day when he'd almost spilled his coffee hearing the announcement about aliens. How one misunderstanding had led to the greatest adventure of his life. "Ready," he said, taking her hand. As the ship door closed, Jack remembered something his grandfather used to say. Life's biggest opportunities often come disguised as impossible situations. He hadn't understood what that meant until now.